Ethnic cleansing is a very powerful expression. If in 1948 there were around 700,000 Palestinians and today there are 7 million in the land of Israel, you can't really use this term.
So in this 28-minute video, this person who's from Israel, who's an Israeli citizen, basically explained his viewpoint, his perspective, and his opinions about why he does not want a free Palestinian state in the way that it's currently defined and demarcated. And this is, just across the border. It doesn't really focus on Gaza or the West Bank. Just in general, he's not for a free Palestine state as it's defined at the moment. And I'm actually going through and I'm going to try to rebut or at least give my perspective on all the different points and opinions that he shares, just to have a little bit more of something in the universe, something out there that if someone comes across this video and perhaps they come across that video, there might be a meshing of the two opinions and information so that a third party can take the truths of it and basically find the information that is the most relevant. Now, the reason why I'm making this video as a precursor to this video is because I tried to originally go through this video and point by point kind of break it down and give different information, but I realized I need to organize it a lot more, try to be a lot more concise and succinct. And basically, it will probably take a little bit of time, and I don't know how long it'll take, hopefully a couple of days. But just to give you an example of this first statement, basically saying that ethnic cleansing is not applicable to Palestinians because there's 700,000 Palestinians in 1948, and today there's several million, or at least more than 700,000. This one point basically bleeds into a minimum, off the top of my head, that I can think of, several points that basically completely invalidate that point. It's not a relevant point for multiple reasons, and I'm not one of those people to stand on semantics where you said this in this way. Perhaps he is saying something that has more context or information behind it, but in the video he doesn't provide it, so I'm going to take it at the value as it was presented in the video, where he's saying that in order for ethnic cleansing to be applied, you would have to have less of a population eventually. That in 1948, there was 700,000 Palestinians, and in current day, there's more than that. Now, first of all, just because ethnic cleansing is occurring does not mean it may reduce population in a historical chart. And also, if you look at ethnic cleansing from the definition of it, it's not simply just the removal of people, but the idea of cleansing them. You can have something where in the current day China with the CCP, they have re-education concentration camps where they send people there, majority of them being Uighur Muslims, to go there and basically be re-educated. Instead of being so devout to God and their religion, they want them to be devout to the CCP in the China state and to literally behave the way that they demarcate acceptable. Similar to in 1984, towards the end of the book, you're only allowed to leave the prison and the re-education camps when you say what they want to hear and when you act the way that they want them to act. And if not, you will be caught by the CCP or by your own countrymen. You're supposed to report people who are too religious to get re-educated. And that is a form of ethnic cleansing, by destroying a religious culture or culture in general in order to force them to fit a mold that the state designs and deems desirable. Now, another example of this, same thing, would be Russification under Russia with Stalin, where Stalin basically, when he came to power, he wanted to take over certain areas. He wanted to conquer the Baltics, as well as basically accept and absorb certain Russian areas. Even today, with Putin and Russia taking over Ukraine, they were very careful in terms of who's the leadership, who should be there, how to basically disseminate this Russian identity. And there's other historical events such as Northern Ireland. When Britain was trying to basically take over Ireland, they would put a bunch of Protestants in Northern Ireland in order to try to imbalance the Catholic state that was Ireland, and basically introduce this new ideology that they accept into an area that does not accept it in the hopes of taking it over. And with Russia, they basically made sure that anyone who was a devout Catholic, as well as anyone who was a devout Muslim, basically could only worship in state-designated mosques. There was very few. You were not allowed to be devout. You were not able to be open. And really, if you were an atheist, that'd be the best option, because if you're not basically being so devout to God, you'll be more devout to the motherland. Also, as part of this campaign is that Russia wanted you to speak Russian, have it be one ethno-Russian state. And the idea being that if we have more Russians, then we'll be a stronger unified force. And, those two ideologies kind of go together, communism and Russification. Now, one point about Russia as well is that despite Russia doing this, despite them basically having an ethnic cleansing campaign against Muslims who are included in this current day and age, Europe as a whole, the largest population of Muslims are in Russia. Russia has a large Muslim population. So that's not to say that, oh, ethnic cleansing occurred and now there has to be less than this amount of people. The amount of people isn't necessarily relevant. You would not look at Germany and say that, oh, before 1945 there was 50,000 Jewish people, and now there's 100,000 Jewish people. So obviously ethnic cleansing didn't occur. That very idiotic statement. And again, I think that this is very picking on semantics, but it is the fact that he's presenting that because X number of Palestinians exist in the past, and now you have X plus Y in today's age, ethnic cleansing is not relevant, do not bring it up. That's absolutely not the case. That's absolutely not true. Now, another thing to take into consideration is the specific ethnic cleansing campaign that happened to Palestinians, where it wasn't, very happenstance. It's a calculated measure to basically target them culturally or religiously for their identity. So starting off from the war and as well as conflicts afterward, is that Palestinians were displaced heavily. They were basically forced into two regions that exist today, the West Bank as well as Gaza, Gaza being a very smaller, sequestered area. And to this day, Gaza specifically is sequestered. It's by itself. It has walls all around it. It has no free mobility. It's not able to get out of the area. It's literally like a prison. It's a ghetto where people are forced in there. They're not allowed to leave. And because of this, they are being mistreated for their identity, for their nation. They're not even allowed to go into the Israeli side because the way that the geography set up is Gaza's on the west, Israel's in the middle, and then on the east is the West Bank. And it basically forces them to stay in that area. They're not allowed to go even visit the West Bank unless there's some type of special privileges. And also, it's very important to realize that there's certain policies that exist that essentially further target Palestinian culture, further target their identity. And you can even see it from American citizens, where Israel has a system set in place where if you have a Palestinian passport, if you actually have that passport, no matter where you are in the country, even if you're in the United States of America, one of the biggest supporters of Israel, one of the biggest allies to Israel, if you're an American citizen and go to Israel and also have a Palestinian passport, which means that you're a Palestinian American, you have that passport, you're treated like a second-class citizen. You're not allowed to fly to the Tel Aviv airport. If you renounce that passport and you simply have a United States passport, they'll allow you to go to that airport. And the reason being is because they're basically attacking an identity. They're saying that we want you to not have a Palestinian passport. And the less people that have a passport, the less likely it is for them to basically have that connection to the country. And hopefully, if by some miracle they renounce their citizenship, then we'll give them certain privileges and we'll treat them a little bit better because they're behaving in a manner that we deem acceptable. So ethnic cleansing is something that had existed from conflicts and wars that caused displacement and these Palestinian people to lose property as well as resources, and also be continued to not have these resources and not be given them. As well as in the current day, there's certain policies and de jure discrimination by the government. Remember that majority of these policies are not just groups of individuals that are doing these things, but it is the actual government of Israel doing this. So to say that there is no ethnic cleansing is wrong. To say that there's no ethnic cleansing because there was X number of people in the past and X plus Y now is extra wrong. And I think that, as you can see, just seeing from this one single point, what took about 30 seconds for this person to say took me a good 2 minutes just to divulge the information from these few points. There's probably more, and there's probably more to discuss. But I just wanted to make this video to first say that I disagree with this video for the most part. I think that there's certain pieces of perspective and opinions that are interesting to at least see his perspective on things. But the way he uses the information and the way that he tries to portray the message to get to his final point is very misguided, to say the least. But at the end of the day, he allows you to comment on the video. He allows you to say what you want on the video. He doesn't disable comments, so at least he's pro-free speech in that regard in his own space. But I just wanted to make the short video basically saying that this is an introduction to say that there's a larger video coming soon, and to, feel free if you'd like to watch that video for yourself and absorb the points being made. And again, the comment section's open, so if you'd like to share your thoughts, feel free. So let me go back to editing this gargantuan video, and hopefully it can be concise, succinct, and to the point.